What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I just finished watching the final episode of Loki season 2. My reaction will be under my YouTube membership, so make sure that you guys become a member so you can see my reaction to this whole season, the first one, and a whole bunch of other shows and movies and tons of stuff that I've got over there for members only. So this was a really good episode, although there was a lot going on. There's no post-credit scene, but I kind of don't know if that means that there won't be a season 3. I feel like there's gotta be, though. So this is wild. So in the last episode, we knew that Loki found out a way to control his time slips. Now that he knows how to control his time slips, he's going to go back and try to figure out how to stop the loom from getting destroyed. And while he's doing that, he's like going back time and time and time again, trying to figure out what was the problem, what happened. And then at first, it was almost as if they weren't going out there fast enough. They weren't putting Timely out there fast enough. And so he kept going back, and redoing it, trying to go faster and faster and faster. And then at one point, they ended up doing it. Timely goes in there and, you know, he put the thing in the little contraption or whatever, and then he comes back, but it's not enough. And now it's like overloading, and it's almost like having an infinite amount of branches, so it's not going to work. So then it's almost like this was supposed to happen anyway, and Loki is just not having it. He is not having it, no way. So like the loom can't have an infinite amount, so once it does, it just overloads and it's just not going to work. So then he time slips back to where Sylvie is trying to kill He Who Remains. And now he's trying to stop her from killing him, because he goes back and feels like, well, if she doesn't kill him, then maybe there is a way that this cannot happen. So he goes back over and over. He's fighting Sylvie and he's trying to stop her in so many different ways. And all of a sudden, He Who Remains stops him. And he basically lets him know, like, how many times are you going to keep doing this? So He Who Remains knows that Loki has been doing this. And he already knew that this was going to happen. So if there's a way to change the formula, then maybe, you know, you got something to stand on, but you got to kill Sylvie. And I was just like, what? No way. So of course he doesn't kill her right then and there. But she's going to continue on. She's continuously trying to kill him no matter what he's telling her. So He Who Remains is basically explaining to him that the loom basically destroys whatever isn't supposed to be there except for the sacred timelines, right? So then they get into, he warps back now. He time slips all the way back to where he was caught by Mobius, and they're in the office, and Mobius is asking all these questions, and Loki's telling him, I know what you're going to do, know what you're going to ask me, know what you're going to put up on the screen. And they're having this conversation, and Mobius then proceeds to tell him a story about an 8-year-old boy and his partner who couldn't prune him. Someone else had to do it, and he was talking about Renslayer. So he goes, after having this conversation, he goes back. This is just insane, because I'm sitting here thinking like he's going to find a way and everybody's going to be okay, but I didn't expect this to go like this. So he goes back to where they all were when the loom was about to explode, and it's almost like he knows what he has to do, because he asked Mobius, about the story that he was telling him. He just couldn't do it. He goes back and now he sacrifices himself. And he's basically like, I'm the one who has to do this. I'm like, no, you're not. And so he ends up going out there, closes the door behind him. No suit, no nothing protecting him. Now they're all watching, and he's out there and he's walking. And as he's walking, his clothes get burned off, but then it's like his Loki uniform, his cape, his headgear, everything just starts to form as he's walking and walking. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like now he is in his God form. Like he is just doing what he's doing now. He's not being killed. He's just going out there. Once he gets to the end of the trail or whatever, he splits the thing in half. All the branches are like burning, but now like as he's grabbing them, they're all turning green and they're being woven together instead of just kind of branching off. And he ends up going all the way up almost to like this gold throne. Like I guess it's his throne. And he sits there and he pulls all the branches together and it just kind of like boom, warps, right? It's gone. That's it. Like Loki sacrificed himself. But in the midst of all of this, while he is, to go back a little bit, while he is trying to figure things out, he goes to KC, and he's basically just explaining everything to them. Oh, by the way, he has this in his bag. And he's trying to do everything fast because he thinks that things are going too slow and that's why it's not working. So then he asks KC, how long is it going to take for me to know what you know? And he's like, it's going to take a long time. And eventually he tells them, how long is it going to take for me to know everything that you know? He's like, centuries. Centuries. So he literally went centuries into these time loops or time splits or whatever just to learn everything that Casey knew. So centuries later, he comes back to do the same thing again. And this time he knows everything. Like he knows everything that Casey possibly knows in order for all of this to go down. Still doesn't work. And then he ends up sacrificing himself. And it was so cool because as he was walking, like you kind of saw the gold kind of going up the stones. And then he sits there and the throne is gold and he pulls everything together and then boom, he's gone. So then, you know, so Mobius, I think, now Loki's not in the picture, but now the TVA is back up and running. Oh, and what was cool too is that when he kind of pulled everything together, it almost kind of did some sort of explosion. So as they were, I guess as the camera was kind of zooming out, all of the branches ended up kind of forming a tree. So it was like purple on top and the trunk was green and it was crazy. It was really weird. So then back at the TVA, everything was normal again, but there's like an emblem that was a tree now. And I don't know what that means really. But of course, Loki's not there, but B-15 as Mobius is. Mobius gives B-15 a file that apparently holds some information about He Who Remains variants. So there is talks about that. But Mobius ends up leaving because he wants to know, you know, what would have been, I guess. So you see him kind of at his house with his two boys and he's just kind of watching himself and Sylvie's watching him for a little bit. Renslayer wakes up in the middle of nowhere. It looks like it's where Loki ended up time slipping to at first when he came across those 4 other variants of Loki's. But then as she's sitting there, you can see there's like half of a TVA shield because you see the words that the TVA go by. And then all of a sudden there's like this purple lightning, but we don't see anything else, which makes me wonder, like, what was that she was seeing? You know what I mean? And then at the very end, you see kind of Loki just looking on, and then that was it. I thought that there could have been a post-credit scene. I thought that maybe, if you guys can probably help me out here, because I heard talks about this connecting to Deadpool 3. And I don't know how it does. I don't know if I'm missing something, or maybe something got switched up last minute. I don't know. But there's got to be like a third season, even though there's no post-credit scene, because Renslayer sees something, so we don't know what she's looking at. The file that B-15 was given, the fact that he said there's a file with information about He Who Remains variants out there, so we know that they're now getting ready to meet up to talk about some stuff. Casey wrote a second edition to the TVA book, because he comes up with a box full of them. And Sylvia's just, I guess, whatever. And so is Mobius. And that was it. And so, I don't know. Like, there's got to be a third season, because I guess they kind of, to me, they left it open-ended. You know what I mean? But I like seeing this. I just don't know what the talks were about this connecting to Deadpool 3. I mean, if I missed something, again, please let me know. But I don't know how this was supposed to end in order to prepare us for some stuff that's coming. But anyway, I really, really enjoyed this season. I enjoyed this series. I love the first one. I love the second one. It just had me on edge, really. So 5 out of 5 toodles for me for Loki Season 2. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed my review. Let me know if you enjoyed the second season of Loki, what you guys think. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Let me know down below. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!